What's up guys, it's Weebra and I'm back with another reading log video. I decided to do things a little bit differently this time. I wanted to keep things fresh while exercising my creative muscle, which I really enjoy to do. I have a ton of different ideas that I'm working on, but for now I just wanted to show you guys this new style, so I really hope you guys enjoy it. So Tokyo Ghoul was a series that had the potential to suffer from being overhyped, at least for me, because I had seen Tokyo Ghoul content all over the place, especially around the time that it came out. You know, everybody had Kaneki as their profile picture. But let me just say, because Tokyo Ghoul did not disappoint. You know, it's not my favorite manga of all time, but the stuff that it did it so well and in such a unique way that I think it really deserves the praise that it gets. It definitely does. For one, the art style is incredible, but I think what really sells the art style, the unique kind of scribbly yet very pretty look of it, is the way the characters are written. These are some of the best characters that I've personally read. Specifically, Kaneki is one of the best protagonists that I have read. Shu as well is fantastic, and the way the relationship between Shu and Kaneki develop is very interesting. But Kaneki as a character himself, I found myself wondering as the manga went on, especially once he becomes the character that he is at the end of the manga. You know, I was just constantly wondering, what are his true feelings? Who is he really? One of my favorite characters of all time is Astrolad from Vinland Saga, and he definitely has that way more than Kaneki. Honestly, Astrolad is just way better written. It's interesting to see Kaneki, you know, like, just have me just wondering, and it honestly, it made him for such a cool character. For those of you who have read it, I'm not going to spoil it, but the way he develops is it's just awesome, man. It's just awesome. I totally get it now. I totally, like, after that, I'm just like, I want to make Kaneki my profile picture. Like, I totally get it now. Before, I'm like, who are you? Like, why? What, like, come on. The premise as well is fantastic for a premise. It made for one of the best openings and more interesting opening arcs that I have read. There were definitely slow parts in this, and I know it could lose some people, but not as much as you would expect from this type of manga. Like, I'm surprised how well it had me wanting to read. The characters and the relationships and the way they develop, we're so great, man. Some of the most lovable characters, and I just love the punk look of it as well. You know, I love it, man. This was a great piece of work. I definitely recommend Tokyo Ghoul. I'm excited to read the sequel and see kind of where the story picks up from where it left off. It has been quite some time since I've read a good romance, and this was a manga series that I was put onto from a video by Pros D. And the main reason why I even picked this series up was because of how pretty the covers were and how pretty the art was. And I'm so glad I did do that, because I ended up really enjoying the story. It's a romance, and the main flair of the romance is that it's between the age gap between the girl and the guy. But what makes it a little bit more interesting is it's more commentary on these two people who have basically given up on their dreams. One was a runner and one was a writer. It's interesting how that is interwoven to the motives of the romance. Watching it unfold and kind of seeing what does result out of that was a very interesting story. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think the artwork was just fantastic. It was a very quick read. It had so many beautiful manga panels. Just take a moment to appreciate the chapter pages itself. They're so nice, right? But yeah, I was very happy with what I read, and I did enjoy it a lot. I definitely recommend it if you're into slice of life and romance, for sure. Now, I have read other works by Junji Ito in the past, and he was always very hit or miss. A lot of the more gross and disgusting stuff by him, I think he did it in a way where it was interesting and I did enjoy it, but typically I'm not really a fan of those type of horrors, and just horror in general, right? But I had never read Uzumaki, which is considered to be his best work, and now I totally understand why it's considered his best work, because this is easily a masterpiece. in my opinion. I thought it was just great. Everything that I loved about Junji Ito, it was there. It still also had a lot of the horrible and kind of creepy, disgusting stuff in there, but not too much. And the greatest thing, which I love in these type of horror stories, is the aspect of mystery. I love it, man. Like Twilight Zone stuff, where it's just like you're constantly thinking, where did this come from? Where was that alien from? You know, like I love that stuff. And Uzumaki really does a great job with piquing that curiosity. And it's a very simple concept of a spiral, and even from a literary aspect, the amount of stuff that came from that simple little idea of a spiral was just amazing. And it was honestly brilliant, the way these different scenarios and these different horrible situations came about because of just from that idea alone of the spiral. It was very interesting. And of course the artwork as well is some of the best artwork ever. You know, it was fantastic. You know, I'm not into horror, so even if you're not into horror, I think there's a chance you're gonna really love this as well. Look Back. Now, this is a one-shot written by the mangaka of Chainsaw Man. And I have to say, I was surprised when this came out because I had no idea he was writing a one-shot. You know, like every other Chainsaw Man fan, we instantly read it. I really enjoyed it. You know, it is kind of refreshing to go from a violent shonen to this kind of slice of life drama. But I think a lot of what Fujimoto does well in Chainsaw Man does really come through in Look Back. I think most people who enjoy Chainsaw Man will tell you that they love the relationship between Denji and Power. I mean, their friendship together, their camaraderie was some of the best I've written in manga, I was not expecting that when reading Chainsaw Man, to be honest with you. And that definitely comes through in Look Back, which is between two friends and two mangakas who are working together. You know, for being a one-shot, it did a pretty good job at conveying the relationship and how it developed. It's not anywhere near the level of Power and Denji, but it's a one-shot, you know. There's only so much you can do with a one-shot. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good one-shot. And I think anybody who is an aspiring mangaka or an aspiring writer or any type of creator can kind of get more out of this because it will probably hit a little bit closer to home for you. But you will still probably enjoy this anyways, even if you aren't those things. It's a quick read. It's on the Shonen Jump app. I definitely recommend it. This is the third part to the gambling series Kaiji, and each different part has a different game. And this specific game was about Mahjong, which is a very complicated game to learn and to follow. As a huge fan of Kaiji, I really wanted to wait until I learned Mahjong to be able to enjoy it to the fullest. And I'm very glad I took the time to learn Mahjong because it has opened up the world of the Mahjong genre to me. It is such a fascinating manga genre that I have to make its own video because I could go on forever about it and I'd have to explain certain stuff, and I don't think it would really fit well in this video. So we'll skip all the details on that for now. Like I said, I learned Mahjong and I was so happy that I did because it really did heighten the experience for Kaiji Part 3. There's a lot of psychological aspects of it that wouldn't have been as impactful as it was had I not known. And it's very easy to get repetitive with Mahjong, but Nobuyuki Fukumoto, the mangaka of Kaiji, is just the master at keeping it fresh every single time. And in this instance, he not only kept it fresh with having these special rules, he kept it fresh in such a Kaiji way. There are a lot of aspects of Kaiji that make it unique and make it the lovable series that it is, and he managed to create a rule set and a scenario that allow these aspects to shine through. The main antagonist was fantastic. You know, Fukumoto is really great at writing these interesting antagonists. They're so great, honestly, and there's always these aspects to his villains of, you know, these people got ahead in life. They're taking advantage of the smaller man. They're very slimy and grimy, but there's always this aspect of them that they're very hardworking and they're very responsible. These aspects which Kaiji himself doesn't have, and this antagonist has all that as well, but he also has this insanity to him that's very like Joker-like, but in its own way. And it was fantastic. I was really happy with what I read and learned. I think you could still enjoy this series even if you didn't learn everything about Mahjong, but anything that you do need to know, it will explain to you there. But if you are a huge fan of Fukumoto, learning Mahjong is probably one of the best things that you could do because it brings Akagi and these other series to another level. And one of them in specific is called 10. which we are going to talk about next. As a result of learning Mahjong, naturally I wanted to go to the main Mahjong series that put Fukumoto on the map, which is 10. So this is one of his very first early series. So it is a little bit rough at the start, but I think it's starting to get better and better. I'm only about 10 volumes in, which is about halfway through. I hear it gets crazy good around the end, and I can kind of see it getting to that point. You know, I won't go too into detail about the Mahjong aspect, but I think generally so far it's doing a pretty decent job, I think, at having interesting characters and interesting games. So far, am I liking it more than Akagi? So far, it's kind of falling short of what Akagi is, but it's only natural because Akagi came after 10, and it's a spin-off of 10 of one of the characters, probably one of the better characters from 10, which is Akagi Shigeru. I'm excited to finish it. I did want to kind of throw it in here to kind of introduce it, and I plan to give my final thoughts in the next reading log. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the new format. It definitely is different than my previous reading logs, which are kind of more traditional in the manga tube scene, but I just have so much fun filming those little edits with the manga characters with real life. I love the process of trying to think of good spots and go into the location and, you know, try to get the right shot. You know, as tedious as it is getting those cool edits and those cool shots, it's so satisfying, and I just love it. I love the aspect of trying to think of good locations, going to the location, trying to get the alignment right, and then editing shadows in afterwards and making sure it looks good and immersive. It's so satisfying for me, and I definitely plan to continue doing it. So if you enjoyed this style, definitely leave a like and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. August, I'm gonna try to improve the reading log aspect of it, the way I present my thoughts and different stuff. I kind of want to bring more quality to it, but I just haven't really figured it out yet, and I kind of do want to make it a little bit more narrative so it can kind of become its own style, I guess. But either way, it's a lot of fun for me, so I'm gonna do it no matter what. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching to the very end here, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.